Hi guys, this is K.K.Mishra and good evening to all of you. Uh, Today in my second video I will elaborate this Russian formalism, but before that I will ask you some questions. The very first question is that do you ever think that in in movies or in movies in item song, why the dressing color of a heroine is different from the other dancers? Next question is that why in a marriage, the bride and bridegroom are different from the other person. You know that why in a festival we eat new things, we wear new clothes. These all things, we will try to find the answer of these all things in this Russian formalism. Now come to the point that this Russian formalism is a school of criticism that emerged in 1950s but flourished between 1920s. It emerged in Moscow, in Russia, but after that, due to the dictatorship of Stalin, it shifted to Czechoslovakia, and there it is known as the Prague School of Criticism, PRAGUE. As we know that this formalism takes its name from the form. It means that in this school of criticism we will focus more on form, but it doesn't mean that content is not important. But this Russian formalists were good humanists also, and that's why they said that form and content both should be fused in a text or in literature. And in this school of criticism, if as we say that the form is important, it also does not mean that only form is important and content is not important, but both form and content both are equally deserve, they both deserve equal importance. Content is as essential as form, and form is as essential as content. So don't remain in confused that in Russian formalism only we study the form, but both form and content we study both. After that, this in this school of criticism, two or three points are there, and that I will elaborate. The very first thing is that this school of criticism divided the language into two parts. First is literary language, or we can say it the poetic language. Both literary language and poetic language is one, and at the another side there is um, common language, or the language which we use in our daily communication. So this school of in this school of criticism, critics divided the language into two parts, and they said that literary language should be different from the language, from the common language. They did not believe what Wordsworth said, that there should not be any difference between the language of poetry and prose, but they said that no, it is the form of literature, or it is the literariness of text that makes difference from the other thing. This is what the formalists said. Now come to the questions which I have asked you in the beginning, that why in a marriage bride and bridegroom are they are in different, they are different from each other, from the other person present there. The answer is that they should feel that I am a bride and I am a bridegroom. And it is also not the same day which was which they feel, or which they passed in his earlier life. It is some special day. That's why she should feel that, means the bride should feel that no, I am a bride, and a bridegroom should feel that I am a bridegroom. That's why they are different from each other. Now in in movies, why heroine is wearing different kinds of dressing, that she should feel that I'm the heroine of this movie. That's why she wears different kinds of clothes. So in a we can say that in festival also, suppose that in Holi we wear new clothes, or we eat different kinds of dishes. So it indicates that Holi is the not an ordinary day that we are living. there is there is special things. This is the things which this Russian formalism, Russian formalists, or the critics of this school of this the critics of this school of criticism, led his emphasis that there should be difference between the language of literature and the language of this common the language that we are using in our common speech. And for this, they did many of things that that I will elaborate in my later part of this video. But let us take something some points that it means that this is critics of this school also emphasizes it, they emphasis on one point is that formal pattern, that means they to study for. And another thing is that in technical devices also, they laid their emphasis on technical devices also. If you have remembered that our grand or legend Dr. Pramananda sir once said in his combined class that there are 9 types of technical aspects of or forms of poetic language. So because through these all technical devices, we can also bring some changes in the literary texts. So in uh, through both ways, from from this formal patterns and from this technical device, we will bring change. These formalists did not believe in what we study in structuralism, in post structuralism, and in reconstruction, because in these three school of criticism, they they were more associated with the content of this texts. But in this part, in this Russian formalism, they study form also, and they said that the poetic language is the integral part of the linguistics. So these are some things that that makes different this Russian formalism from other school of criticism. After that,